I'm going to try to use this this mic right here so that I can demo stuff. I am super excited to talk about one of my favorite topics, and that is tools and best practices for optimizing organisms. And I think that a lot of you probably are interested in that same topic. I see Zymergen's labs just full of really great tools, and we use the best methods for optimizing and improving the performance of organisms. And the organism that I'm going to be talking about improving today is the human. So I found this tool and method, and I just want to share it with you guys. Let's get a definition of squat. So super general, the squat is the bending at the hip, knee, and ankle to lower the organism's center of gravity while balanced over the midfoot. So super general, and you see basically two different types of squats in the world. The one where people go real low, right, and they're just hanging out and eating or doing whatever, and then the one that looks like this. And I recommend that you practice and attempt to master both. This one is really good for eating and hanging out and going to the bathroom, and this one is really good for moving heavy objects. They're both really excellent because they put your joints near the end range of motion. And that is really valuable because our joints are lubricated by synovial fluid that only gets produced when the joints go to that end range. So if you don't use it, you lose it, kind of thing. I'm going to teach this one. The real difference between these two are just in this one, the spine stays an extension, where in this one, the spine rounds a little bit. So our ancestors and our babies and most people in this world squat every day. We were designed by evolution to squat. That's just what these bodies do. And so it's kind of confusing to me that most people in this room and in the Bay Area don't squat. I just don't get it. But there are a couple reasons why that's the case. And one is, yeah, sitting is the new smoking. When people sit, like you're all doing right now, your hip flexors are getting tight. There are other reasons that we tend to not squat around here. High heels, both men's and women's shoes with an elevated heel, make it so that the calf slowly shortens over time, which prevents squatting. And super tight, skinny jeans don't exactly allow for full range of motion at the hips, knees, and ankles. I really recommend these jeans with spandex in them. It's just like way better. So go get yourself a pair of those. Or tights. Tights. But the number one reason I find that people don't squat around here is because we don't encourage that. It's not socially normal. You don't tend to see people squatting around here. No one encourages that. No one taught me to do this until I figured it out for myself in like 2009 or 10. So I think that we should change that. I think that it should be more common to see people at work and at play and in life just squatting. It's this normal, fundamental human movement. We should do it. We should get good at it. We should have meetings. Are there any meeting rooms without tables? Or maybe like floor level tables? I don't think so. So let's learn how to do it. We can read these, and then anyone who wants to learn how to do it with me can do it. The setup, the movement, and some additional cues. And we'll go through each of them. But do you want? Stand up and do it with me. Yeah. We can make it so. Okay. So setup. Get your heels under your shoulders. So these are your shoulders. Heels shoulder width. Breathe into your belly. I'm sorry. So 30-degree angle of your feet. And I want you to feel like you're gripping the ground with your big toes. For breathing, I would like you to breathe into your belly and squeeze your abs. That's called the Valsalva. That increases the inter-abdominal pressure, which stabilizes your spine. And a squat, really, if we're going to do it with that full extended spine, keeps the spine straight. Okay, so now we'll go into individual cues. So here we go. This is what the feet are going to look like. About shoulder width apart, 30-degree angle. And just, I want to notice here, this is a flat foot. All right, this is a foot that's gripping the ground. This Valsalva. You may have heard the word Valsalva before. Anyone taking a Le Mans class? Yeah, there you go. Yeah. All right, here we go. So you got your feet, you got your breath. Start by pushing the butt back, or hips first. All right? Cool, you can come back up again. All right. That's how the movement starts. On the way down, we're going to create space between our knees. So let's get that breath. Tight. Butt back. Space between the knees. And as we descend, and then we get to the bottom, stand back up. And stand up. You guys did it. Let's try that one more time. Let's try that one more time. Breath into the belly. Tight abs. Push the butt back. Knees spread apart. And at the bottom, drive the hips up. All of these cues have lots more to talk about, but this is basically it. In terms of things to remember, we are going to keep the feet flat on the floor. All right, we're not going to raise the heel off the ground. Right. So for this squat that I want to teach, I want you to go as low as you can with the heels on the ground, and the flexibility will follow. The chest is going to stay up and not round like that. And the beauty of doing these things every day is you practice. You get a little bit better over time. The last thing, kind of a subtle point, but a mechanical necessity, is that the center of mass stays balanced over the midfoot. Okay, so now we're going to switch to the reason why I think the squat is super important. Yes, you should be doing this because it looks cool and it feels good and it lubricates your joints. But it's the best movement for training strength. And strength is one of those words that has lots of definitions. So let's give it a really general definition too. The ability to produce force against an external resistance. So this is real general. This is not like tensile strength. This is not like how strong your bicep is. This is not talking about runner's strength or bricklayer's strength or football player's strength. This is just, can an organism produce force against an external resistance? And this is this fundamental physical adaptation of organisms that allows them to do everything else they want to do in this physical world. So the squat is a perfect movement for training this because it is a compound movement. It requires that most of your muscles and most of your joints work in concert. It recruits a high percentage of the muscle mass in your body. And therefore, it can accomplish the work of producing lots of force against an external resistance going a far distance. There are lots of types of squats, and there's lots of different ways to load the squat. You can, right, you just learned it without anything, and maybe hold a book the next time you squat, and then hold a heavier book or a dumbbell or a kettlebell. You guys know the story of Milo of Chronton, Greek myth? This guy each day picked up a calf, all right, and walked around with it, and the calf would grow a little bit, right, and it would get heavier, and then he would get stronger along with it. And there are different ways of loading the squat, and the barbell and these weights that go on barbells is just incredibly efficient at loading it precisely. And that's important because what we're really shooting for when training for strength with the squat is to get into this stress, recovery, adaptation cycle. Here's some baseline ability to perform, and then an organism encounters stress. It recovers, right? After encountering that stress, like there's a limited amount of stress that it could go through. It recovers and then adapts, and then it can encounter stress again and recovers and adapts. That's what organisms do. And if the stress is heavier and heavier external resistance, then the adaptation is going to be more and more strength. I think this is really cool because it's kind of like the build, test, learn, design cycle. So the squat is both the build and the test, right? Like the test is like, can you do 3 sets of 5 at 155 pounds? And then you kind of harm your muscle fibers, and they heal, they learn, and then they design themselves to be even stronger, and then you test them again, right? Iterate that cycle. So barbells are this incredibly precise way of doing it because they can be loaded very precisely. Once you know how to do the basic unweighted squat, you can learn how to do it with a barbell, and then that barbell can be 45 pounds today, and in 2 days from now, 55, and then 65, and then 75, and then 85, and then when your progress slows down, it can be 90, and then 95. These plates go down to like fractions of a pound. They're precise. And I know that we like precise tools here at Zymergen. And so there are already some people at Zymergen who are using these precise barbell tools. Laurel and Victor and Talia and myself. And there's a bunch of other people who are into these same movements and tools. And I think that we like them because they make us strong, but we also like them because they drive this other adaptation, this mental adaptation stuff. Training the squat with weights is often really hard, and intentionally doing hard things kind of makes you mentally stronger. I think that you can understand what that means. It proves to yourself that you can adapt. And personally, exploring and testing and enhancing my abilities has been like this really interesting and gratifying experience, and I recommend it, and that's why I'm talking about it. So if you're interested in this stuff, come join Barbells at Zymergen, which is a group of people who are interested in talking about these things. We're on Slack. Cool. All right, how do I do on time? We got questions? Out of time. Awesome. Come talk to me later about this stuff.
All right, thank you, Stephen, for giving us new meaning to the phrase squatting in a meeting room.
That's good.
Next up, we have Ajit presenting on cricket, the heartbeat of India.
Hello everyone, my name is Ajit. I am from the Industrial Engineering team. First of all, I would like to thank Zymergen organizers for presenting